Four Midwest Guys presents Avengers Infinity War Review.
Hello out there, Marvel fans and comic fans. I'm your host, B. Willie, and welcome to Four Midwest Guys presents Avengers Infinity War Review. Here with me today is Mr. Brian Eckenbauer.
Hey, what's up, what's up?
And the Dirty Jay-Z is back.
Hello, fellow traumatized MCU fans.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We'll get to that and so much more. All right, so what we're going to do is we usually do with our movie reviews, we'll do a non-spoiler section. It'll be pretty brief, and then we'll move into the spoiler section, and we'll put up a little spoiler alert. It'll be up on the graphics, and we'll give you plenty of warning just for those of you who haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, this is a movie that's really hard to discuss without getting into spoilers.
It's
we
very
will try
hard.
our best.
We will
everyone
do our best to keep our mouths shut.
Yeah. For everyone that wasn't there for the record-breaking opening weekend of this movie, we will try to make sure.
We'll try.
I was smart enough to see it on Discount Tuesdays.
Discount Tuesday.
But you still saw it in opening week, though, you know?
Right.
Opening week, just not weekend.
Like,
I didn't want to contribute.
All right.
You're the reason it didn't break Force Awakens, adjusted for inflation weekend.
Yeah. My $5.83 are my ticket.
That's right.
Nice job, B. Nice way to support the wars. All right.
Way to support war.
Wars. Space wars.
You killmonger, you.
Oh. All right. I'm going to stop on that one right there. All right. So let's talk about, so we're just going to break it down. We're just going to give 1 to 10 guys on story. John, let's take the lead. What do you think?
You know what? I'm going like 8 or 9 on this. It was a very well-written story that it was like, what was this, like the 18th or 19th MCU film right now? Like, it's been 10 years.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. This is the one time that you felt the gravity of every single movie that came right before it. Like, it felt like you didn't feel a single movie was wasted, and it tied everything together really nice. And for a movie to actually do that, to actually, like, bring together 18 movies into, like, the emotional crux of one film it's quite the achievement.
Okay. Brian?
I'm going to give it like a 6 or 7.
Okay.
Really liked the movie, but I didn't care for the story.
Yeah. Okay.
It could just be the whole, wanting the good guys to win and that thing. I mean, but it was a good movie.
Okay.
And I'll watch it again.
Sure.
But it just, I don't know.
Quick question: which is your favorite Star Wars film?
Which is my favorite Star Wars film? Return of the Jedi.
Okay, not Empire.
No.
Okay.
No.
I think I know why now.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean that's my that'd be my take on it.
That's your take. Okay. I'll go a little higher. I'll go 7 to an 8 on the story. I thought simply for the fact that they had to cover a lot. It was busy, but right from the get-go, but they had to cover a lot, and they somehow managed to put together a fairly good story within the allotment. Honestly, they could have probably stretched this out into 2 movies, to be honest. The movie we saw. But with all the amount of characters, the amount of plot, the amount of vastness that this movie, like John pointed to, this is the climax of Marvel so far, right? And
so far, yeah.
The end of Phase 3, so to speak, and I guess the next Avengers movie is technically the end of Phase 3, but definitely the culmination of Feige's plan from starting with Iron Man 1 on. So, yeah, I would give it a 7 and 8 just for the sheer vastness of it.
And going off of what you were saying there, something that I'm going to bring it up, like watching Paul Thomas Anderson films from like the 90s, watching like big multiple cast films. Like, that's the one thing that went through my mind watching the end credits and realizing exactly how many characters were in this movie that they had to give like a decent amount of screen time to, a decent character arc. I mean, I'm used to watching Magnolia. I was one of the few people that loved Magnolia in the theater when I saw it, and because I know how hard it is to write something with that many characters, give them all a story, give them all like an equal amount of gravity in it, and for the fact that it's 2.5 hours, I mean, in a sense, that's damn quick. I mean, we could have gone well over 3 hours.
Well,
Like
I said, it could easily have been two movies.
Exactly.
Honestly. Yeah. So.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna say it could have been an extra 40 minutes, and I don't think anybody would have complained.
No.
Yeah, I agree. Brian, what do you think about performances overall?
I thought they were all good.
Yeah.
Every character felt nothing felt pushed on us.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like in Black Panther, some of the characters kind of felt pushed.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in this felt pushed at us.
Yeah.
Everybody felt like they had their own part, and they all gelled really well together. And Brolin as Thanos was
he was
tremendous.
really good. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
Because essentially, this is, if you think about it, this is Thanos' movie.
Yeah,
The Avengers are simply the side supporting characters of this film. I mean, this is clearly Thanos' movie.
Yeah. Johnny, what did you think of performance?
Performance-wise, they were capable. There wasn't one moment I didn't feel that any of them felt distanced from this universe. So, I mean, they didn't... There wasn't one performance that I think that, like, stood out as to, like, oh my god, this is, like, a pinnacle of acting or whatever. But this was something, like, they all felt like they existed well within this universe. So, yeah,
Okay.
say... If we're like giving it a number range, I'd probably say like 7.
7. Okay.
I don't think I saw a bad performance in the film. Just nothing that I'm like, you know what? Come Oscar season, I'm remembering this kind of performance. You know,
Nothing overwhelming. Brian, we forgot to ask your number.
I'm same boat, 6 or 7.
6 or 7. Yeah, I would go along with you guys and say 6 to 7. I thought the performances were great. The only character I would like to have seen a little bit more of is Cap's story, but there just wasn't time, in my opinion. But I would like to have seen a little bit more how Cap's dealing with not being Captain America, per se, because he really wasn't. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, I think, later on in the podcast or show. So somewhere in that area. And what about dramatic effect, John?
Oh boy. I think anyone that's like seen any memes on Facebook over the last week, the dramatic effect on this movie by the time it reaches the end is pretty damn high. And I think that's the thing, is the selling point of this movie is how well the drum plays out, how well the characters interact with the story. And I'm going to give it a 9. Like, this is probably one of the most, I want to say, emotionally investing of the blockbusters. I mean, not just like MCU, but just like flat out tentpole summer blockbuster films, or like 100 million, 200 million plus event films. This is a very emotionally satisfying movie.
Yeah, Brian?
Well, yeah, to go off of that, I think the reason why it was so like emotionally satifying is we've seen the other 19 films, and to watch all of those characters and see them all unfold, and the ones that we've liked, and we're watching them on the screen interact with each other, and like yes, like just watching my daughter watch the movie.
Yeah, she kind of grew up with him, really.
Yeah. So watching my daughter watch him, and you could just see like when certain things happen, and you could just see her look like she's going to tear up.
Yeah.
And you could just see, and then like certain music hits, and you could just see it, like you could see she like grabbed her arm because you knew she got goosebumps.
Right.
And it was just it was very cool to watch, and then so we won't go into spoilers, but
yeah, I know it's hard.
We're still
into that territory.
We won't go. I won't go into spoilers on how she reacted at parts of the movie, but
we'll go into that when we get into the spoiler section, right?
Definitely.
Which I've got a reaction,
because I'd like to actually hear how she reacted, because she really did grow up with them.
I got to tell you about the 10-year-old that was like right behind me at the end of this movie too.
Copy.
Oh yeah, that was a good reaction.
Yeah, my 2 cents on the dramatic would just basically echo what you guys did. It's up there. It's a 9 to a 9.5 just because of what happens, and we won't give away what happens, but
without giving anything away, I'll just say one line. I don't want to go.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And we'll that's spoiler alert, but yeah.
Oh no.
It's not
no context.
It's teasing.
It's the 10th Doctor, everyone. They really bring home that 10th Doctor episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah, there you go. Way to try to cover up your tracks.
It's the same one.
All right. Special effects. I'll start. I enjoyed the special effects. I thought they were up to par with most of the other Marvel movies. I'll give it a solid 8. Brian, what do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean it's on par with the rest of them. Everything flowed very well.
Yeah.
Even when we were on on Thanos' home world. It felt like we were there on his home world.
Titan.
Yeah. So I mean, it really felt there. Felt like we were there. I thought it was interesting that some of the scenes felt very familiar. Like the one we saw. I sent you guys a picture last night. We were doing our text message back and forth talking about the show. The one with the Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then they shows them next to each other. And John, you were coming. You took a D product and made it into an A.
Yeah.
And I don't think it went that far.
Oh no, yes, it did. It clearly did.
I don't think it went that far, but it would definitely look very similar. All they did was change the dynamic of the shield, changed from an oval to a square, and I mean,
spoiler alert! Yeah, we're tickling the dragon's tail, gentlemen.
Yeah, but
no Gungans.
But yeah, that's
no
true.
Racial stereotype Gungans.
Well,
misjudgment.
There wasn't any stereotype Gungans, but there might have been some.
No.
Okay.
All right. We'll save it for spoilers. Hold back.
So the effects were good.
Yeah.
John, effects
were okay. Spoilers. Effects were insanely good, and what I'm going to give the credit to is all of the motion capture of all the actors. Because
that's fair, yeah.
If you think about it, Thanos is a successful version of Steppenwolf. You have a CG character who is essentially the herald of an end of a world. And if you think of the way he looked, he was supposed to be like this imposing, gigantic, computer-generated character, and there wasn't one moment that I looked at him and thought, God, you are not interacting with these people at all. They're not looking at a reference point.
Yeah.
It really and it's like, oh, and this guy was just a bad animation job where they skipped a couple renderings layers.
Yeah, I mean. To me, Thanos is more on the dark side level if we're going to compare universes.
Oh, easily, yeah. Character-wise, yes. I mean, story-wise, as to what they were doing. There wasn't one moment when Thanos wasn't on screen that I did not feel like he wasn't interacting with the actors, and that to me is a successful use of motion capture and a successful use of effects, because we've seen effects done badly with motion capture.
Sure.
This is not an excuse of bad motion capture. They took the time. And the big thing is what we were talking about before with performances. They took the time to make sure the performances were all there first.
Yeah, agreed. So, all right, action. This is pretty much a 9.5 to a 10 for me. From the moment that the movie starts to really the end, is really the only point I feel like it slowed down at all. Was at the very end of the movie. Really, it's nonstop action. Brian, what'd you think?
An 8.
Okay.
Only because I think there was too much action.
Okay.
Without going into any kind of really details,
right, that's what I'm trying to.
It just felt really choppy to me.
Yeah.
But
okay.
You know what? Action-wise, it flowed very well, and there were moments that I think from the opening scene of the film, and this is what this movie does really well. From the first scene of the film, you feel a sense of the fact that the heroes or the protagonists of this film have something to lose. There's a point where they can fail. And that's what made every scene that followed intense. So, yeah, the tension was all there. The action was there. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of, grandiose stand-up, yeah, this person's here, or yeah, this moment happened moments. Mm-hmm. But you still felt that, holy crap, people could fail moment.
Okay, one final topic for the non-spoiler, directing, real quick. John, I'll let you take the lead on that. What do you think?
Again, it was a capable, there wasn't one moment I thought the directing or anything was, forced or failed, or they tried to baby step us through symbolism or make the subtext in the foreground. I mean, the Russos by this point, they've established themselves very well in the MCU. They know how to do. They to me, I'll get into it later. Yep. They to me still have the best MCU film with Winter Soldier. They upped the game. And they have stayed on that plane. When Civil War came out, Civil War stayed on the plane of them upping the game. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into this one. Avengers definitely ups the game with this. So for what they did, it was a capable job, and it was done really well. There wasn't a moment where I felt they were... I felt they were trying too hard, the way I've seen other directors try to find symbolism in bloated blockbusters, but at the same time, I also didn't feel like I got a sense of who they were as directors, or what their visions were, or because usually when you watch a Spielberg film, you get a sense of a Spielberg moment. Yeah. When you watch like I don't know, a Christopher Nolan film, you get like a sense of his style and his themes and everything he goes for. I haven't quite got what the Russos go for thematically throughout all their films at this point. So,
well, it's hard to get lost in this one though too, because I mean it's like they took Civil War, which is a vast amount of characters, and they applied that to this movie, except maybe times 10.
Well, yeah, because they have space and everything to deal with.
Right. So, I thought the directing, I didn't see any issues with it. I'm not as much, that's why I start with you, John, because you got the technical background on it. But
well, the blocking and everything. Let me get into that.
And the lighting was spectacular.
Oh, that's the gaffer's job.
At least he's not a fluffer. All right, Brian, what'd you think on directing?
I have no idea.
That was the DCCU.
So. Okay. Yeah, I thought overall though, I thought it was good. I thought it was really, really well done. All right, so guys, we've come. That's the end of our non-spoiler part of the show. So
a couple more things there to.
Oh yeah, you know what? You're totally right. I totally forgot. So.
God, even Tony Stark's alcohol content here is.
Yeah, my bad. I was. So real quick questions. Is this a first run, a second run, or home video, or avoid altogether, Brian?
I would say avoid not seeing this one in the theater.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, man. Do not even check this.
I would say avoid not seeing it in the theater. It's definitely...
Exactly.
You definitely need to see it in the theater. There's just so much... So there's ways around seeing it in the theater, right?
Yeah.
Fire stick or whatnot.
Fire stick.
Yeah.
Right. Cough, cold. Terrible.
Right. So, which is fine if you just want to know the story.
Yeah.
But
there's Wikipedia summaries if you want to know the story.
But already knowing the story ahead of time and going into the theater allows you to look at so much other stuff while you're watching it, and it just makes the scenes that much better. So you definitely need to see it in the theater.
Okay. What do you think, John? First run, second run? Or
you know what? I'll tell you this. If you're one of the people that, if like me, you're not sure when you're going to see it in the theater, but you don't want everybody going online and just going, oh, so-and-so died, or so-and-so died, or this happened, or this happened. If you're that paranoid about the spoilers in this, yeah, it's immediately a first run movie. Make the time to see this. Get a babysitter, do something. You won't be disappointed because, honestly... It's the first epic I've seen in the theater in a long time. Everyone likes to toss around epic like it's a buzzword, and at this point, it's become something that yeah, great, you spent a lot of money. It's not quite an epic. This is an epic. This is truly an epic film.
If you're become invested, I think in the universe, yeah, because since Iron Man 1, we've built to this moment, and. Yeah. I don't want to give anything away, but it's a game changer,
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's because of that, I think it's worth seeing in the theater, if nothing else, just from a story perspective, much less the special effects and everything else that goes into the movie. But so that's my 2 cents. All right, best Avengers movie yet? Just a yes or a no, Brian?
No.
Okay.
I really like the first one better.
The first
Avengers. Because it was the first time we'd seen everybody come together.
Okay.
Like we said, this was kind of this. Don't get me wrong, this was a great movie, and it felt like we said, like Civil War times 10.
Yeah.
Whereas the first one was the first time we'd ever seen them all come together.
Right. So it has the special feel to it.
Yeah.
Okay. John.
In the end, that's actually what it came down to me deciding. It was because the Avengers, that was the first time we'd actually seen all those heroes assembled like that on the screen, and it for 2 hours or however long it was truly something to behold. We'd never seen anything like that. With this film, what we get is, honestly, I would say this would be the Empire to the Star Wars that was Avengers. So
that's a good analogy. I like that, actually, and not just because I'm a Star Wars fan,
and as everyone knows, my love of Empire. Yeah, I gotta say it is the best one, just for that reason, because with the first one, yeah, the scope was there, the fun was there, and like you said, the sheer scale and the moment for the first time, seeing all of our characters that we've seen in individual films join together like this, that was unheard of at the time. But what this did, what Infinity War does, is it gives us an emotionally investing story that I didn't feel in the first one, that actually felt a deep connection. And I think that, in the end, is what wins out for me for this one.
So much for yes or just no.
Yes, it is.
I will go with I'll go with yes too, just because it's epic. As much as I like the first one, and I did like the first one, like you said, because it's the first time you see them all together. Second one, Age of Ultron, not so much.
Well, that's not your favorite.
I would have thought that was his favorite. He always picks the second movie.
Not this time. This one goes against that rule.
How RoboCop 2 is his favorite of the RoboCop trilogy.
Actually, RoboCop 1 is my favorite. But anyway, if we're going to go
is
to
it
that
not?
franchise. All right. So, definitely worth seeing. And hopefully you enjoyed this non-spoiler part of the show. However, from this point forward, we have to warn you, and I'm going to put it up here, and you can see it on the side here. So you see it right under the Infinity War graphic, which is over here. Yeah, this way, right? Yeah, there we go.
It's on your side.
It's on my side.
Yes, we're watching our screen, trying to figure out. It's right there.
So,
But it's on your
it's right
side?
there. It's right there.
Go that way.
This is the review, but over there is
that
where we're
one.
doing the...
You think the sign? You think this? I can see the sign right next to me, but
Yeah.
I can't. All right, so
Here's your sign.
So from
Yeah, it
this
is,
point
right
on,
there.
You've been warned, and here's my nice little spoiler review. Special effect background.
Spoiler review. It's not the Star Wars one, is it?
Are you doing the Star Wars spoiler?
Really?
It's a combination. It's not just Star Wars, guys. All right, so you've been warned. From this point forward, we are now in spoiler review territory.
So Rey died in this one.
Take it easy, fellas. Take it easy. All right.
That's going to be the first one to apologize for us using a Star Wars spoiler review. Spoiler alert.
So the Rey and Kylo Ren sex scene was really out of left field in this movie.
I tell you what, it was
When
definitely...
Disney blends their universes, jeez, I didn't expect that.
All right.
50 Shades of Rey.
Oh, boy. I tell you. I get no respect. None. Not even a little bit.
You know what? I take you seriously if you had a tie while you were saying
So
that.
much shit. Anyway, all right. So, putting us back into the Marvel
God.
universe, let's talk first not just about Loki's is Loki really dead. Also, let's talk about the fate of the Asgardians. Holy shit. It's a massacre.
Yeah,
right
there's
off
like the
bat.
entire frickin' Asgardian, like the
Race.
survivors that
Yeah.
got on that ship from Ragnarok.
Yeah, the
just like
survivors
like
of the end of
slaughtered.
the world get slaughtered.
Yeah. Well, thank God they killed that annoying rock monster from Ragnarok.
Did they? We never saw him.
We never saw him.
Good.
We never saw him, and we never saw Valkyrie.
Although Feige has pointed
Poor
out that the Valkyrie girl is still alive.
Yay!
So, but that's all we know. Other than that, we don't know where Rock Boy is.
And
or-
it wasn't a massacre. It was mercy.
Yes,
is what they
as-
called it.
Like they framed it like you have been privileged to be killed by Thanos, for we will bring balance to the universe, and blah blah blah.
That's right there, Obi-Wan.
So, from a certain point of view, no. All right. So, what'd you guys think? What'd you think of the massacre? I was kind of shocked. I was like, man, there's going to be no Asgardians left, but Thor. Thor is now the last son of Asgard.
Thor better find Natalie Portman and get it the fuck on right now, you know?
Yeah. What'd you think, Brian? Were you stunned by that?
Not really. We kind of got hinted at it when we saw them. You know, kind of.
When the ship grabbed him at the end of Ragnarok.
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of already saw that, but, and they weren't. None of them were warriors. We knew that ahead of time too, and we knew that was a warship coming, and it's coming for a certain thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was so much shocked.
It was just a dark moment.
Yeah, and even when is Heimdall, is that his name? Heimdall.
Oh God, I'm.
Oh,
so bad with this.
yeah, I know you're talking about. You're talking about the guy who controls the Bifrost.
Yeah. Thor's best friend.
Oh yeah,
So-
our first casualty. Of the film.
Yeah. So
Yes.
when he gets killed, I kind of was like, okay, they're killing off some of the side characters, blah blah blah, and then it came back around, and all of a sudden you're like,
They just killed everybody.
And well, not even just that. It was who they killed next.
Yeah.
With Loki, and it was just like, my daughter, is he really dead?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Is he really dead? I was like, well, you're looking at him on the screen. She's like, but he's came back before. I was like,
I don't know. After Ragnarok, I thought they would let half of them live, or a small group of the Asgardians leave, even though I knew it was going to happen, just because, Jesus, these guys used to be the guardians of everything, other than the guardians of
Overwatchers.
They were the guardians of everything other than the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, wow.
They're the guardians of the Seven Realms.
John, what'd you think of it?
Before I went into this movie, I started doing my research, watching old Atop the Fourth Wall episodes, and they started doing Event Comics Month, and they did the Infinity Gauntlet. And the funny thing is they started Infinity Gauntlet with Thanos having collected the last Infinity Stone, and he starts the issue with the snap.
Oh, so that's how the comic starts.
That's how the comic starts when we first see it. So the fact that what we saw in this story, was just like everybody trying to defend each of the stones, was actually a really good choice of storyline, and I really like that. But tying it back into the fact that, was I expecting kind of a genocide there? Yeah, because at the beginning of that comic, you literally see half of the galaxy dead. Or you don't know who's left, and everyone's trying to pick up their pieces after that.
Well, I mean, it also starts you off with the fact of how badass Thanos is.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It does. Yeah.
Like if you had
he knocks the anger out of Hulk.
If he knocked him so hard he quit being mad. If you quit, if he would have not killed them all and let some of them live, I don't think the dramatic effect would have been there, because him killing off everybody, you're like, oh my god, nobody's safe. Because as we're watching, we think everybody's dead, including Thor, because the whole ship blows up
with Thor on it.
Thor on, you're like,
yeah.
My wife even leaned over and she's like, "Did they just kill off Thor?"
Yeah.
And I was like, and she looked at me, she's like, "Did they kill him off?" I was like, "Honey, do you remember when I tried to tell you about the Infinity Gauntlet episode? You should have let me finish the whole thing."
Yeah. Yeah. And as far as getting to the Loki question, he's such a good villain. I don't see how you can keep a good villain down, but you now have Thanos, so to replace him.
You got a better villain.
Yeah. Right. I don't know.
A more threatening villain, I should say.
Maybe we should, percentage-wise, I'll say 80% dead, 20% they bring him back. What do you think, Brian?
I would say it's 70-30, maybe.
Okay.
65-35. Only reason why I say that is because towards the end of the movie they kind of hint at a little bit of like time manipulation. Mm-hmm. So if that happens, there's a chance he comes back, because it didn't happen. You know what I mean? So if it doesn't happen, then he's back alive. But I will point out that you hear his neck crack.
Yeah.
I mean, so and that was something like I was like, you heard his neck crack when my daughter asked me, and I was like, you heard his neck snap.
Yeah.
And she goes, and she was like, oh,
the reality sets in. Yeah.
What's funny is a lot of girls actually had kind of a crush on Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. John, what's your percentage?
You know what? I'm gonna get nerdy, insanely nerdy here. All right. I'm gonna say 100% on this plane of reality.
No, that's a multiverse cop out.
And you know what? That may come into play in the next one. So I'm going to say 100% in this universe.
Cop out. Oh, he 100% died in this movie. He probably in the next one, but he died in this one.
In this plane of reality, yes. But when they correct the events at the end of part 4, we'll see how that plays out.
Oh. So, all right, John. All right, I'm sticking with my 80-20. So, we'll see. All right.
when we see the next plane of reality for Phase 4, we'll see where he fits in.
Next May.
All right.
It's gonna be May.
It's gonna be May 2019.
We already talked about it. Brian already said that Thanos knocked the anger out of the Hulk.
Straight up pacified him, yo.
So, throughout the movie, Hulk has performance issues.
Performance anxiety.
Literally cannot get it up.
Well,
it's not that he can't. It's not that he can't. He just won't.
Yeah.
And we had talked about it via text.
PTSD.
Well, I just think he was. he's never been beat before.
Yeah.
And Thanos beat him, and he's kind of just hiding.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, no, I don't want to do it. No.
He's fucking pouting.
Yeah, he's very much so pouting.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because I didn't read like any of the Hulk comics, so I don't know if essentially like when Banner becomes the Hulk, is the Hulk basically just like a pouty kid?
Well, I thought it was interesting that I always just assumed that the Hulk came out whenever Bruce got angry. The fact that suddenly the Hulk can counter that and say no is kind of an interesting.
That's an interesting.
I always thought it was a
dynamic,
chemical effect of him being mad.
Well, it has been up until these movies.
Yeah.
Because we also never really had in any of the TV shows or movies or anything else where the Hulk was taken over and Banner was hiding, which is what happened in Ragnarok.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Banner was the one hiding. He said, "You know what? Just go, just take it." And the Hulk took over.
Right.
And this is reversed. And now Banner's like, "Come on, let's do this," and he's like, "No."
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was an interesting dynamic that they put into this movie.
Yeah.
Was that back and forth, and then you even have Banner at one point say, "We have some stuff we have to work through." You know, basically talking to himself, but he's talking to Hulk.
But it's like a dual personality inside of him.
Yeah.
Instead of them being one, I'm beginning to wonder if they're going to split Banner and Hulk. They're going to separate them at some point.
So we're going to start seeing
we've
like
seen in
Red
the
Hulk
comics.
and Gray Hulk and like all those other different colored Hulks.
Well, maybe
we've
at
seen,
maybe at some point. But what I'm thinking is that they're going to, because in the comics they've done this where you've got Bruce. They split Bruce Banner and the Hulk out as separate characters again. They separate the two.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time to me where they really reference them not as one, but really as two different people, because you have the Raging Hulk as a separate character. Really, it's not they're it's puny Banner and the Hulk. It's not one person being even though they can remember each other's memories and stuff, kind of. It's just an interesting concept to me, and I just wonder if they'll take that to the next step.
It's a very interesting concept. This is something I actually want to see deeply explored. The next one.
Well, you know what's really interesting is some of the toys that came out for this movie just shows that they didn't know what they were going to do with this either, because one of the main images that we see in the trailers is Hulk
on Rwanda fighting.
Wakanda.
Yeah,
Wakanda. Yeah, sorry.
Rwanda. Hotel Wakanda.
He Rwanda.
That's a whole lot of different.
Well, anyway,
I'm not touching that one.
He's running with Captain America and Black Panther and everybody, but in what we see now, it's actually Banner in the Hulk suit.
And the Hulkbuster. Hulkbuster, yeah.
And the Hulkbuster.
Yeah. Is he right there? Right?
And then the other thing that happens is there's a toy out there, and it's Hulk busting out of the Hulkbuster.
Oh, really? So that was the original game plan.
That was probably the original game plan, and then instead of that happening, he just says, "Oh, screw it, I'll do it." And Banner, tries to beat him up with that, and then puts the,
Right.
But it was just I don't think they knew what they wanted until they kind of until the last second they kind of tested what well with the audience and stuff.
You know what? Knowing that, I would actually like to see when we get the DVD release, like an ending, like Clue, where it's like, that's one way it could have happened, but how about this? Oh God! But here's what really happened.
All of a sudden you see like
Scooby Doo ending.
They zoom in on Strange, and he's doing this thing, and all of a sudden you see one, and it goes back to Strange, and he's doing this, and you see another one, and doing this, and you see another one.
That's right. Yeah, Doctor Strange is our little
multiverse boy. Yeah.
Which again goes into my multiverse.
Yes, you and your multiverse.
Hey, we were all fans of Fringe.
So, speaking of the Hulkbuster universe, let's talk about the debut of the Iron Spider. So we finally get Spider-Man in the Iron Spider outfit. Something that we've seen in the comics, but we have yet to see in the MCU. They teased it at the end of Homecoming, but he rejected the suit at the time, and finally we get to see him in it as a full Avenger, as the Iron Spider. I thought this was badass. I thought it was cool. It was the perfect time to bring it out, obviously, and on this scale of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, John, what'd you think?
It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Okay, no nerdgasms or anything.
Not really. I thought it was a nice addition, and I thought like in the universe, it was exactly fitting for it. So yeah. I mean, as in with all of Tony Stark's things, a new movie, a new upgrade. So I just thought, oh, well, hell, this is essentially Tony's kid, so why wouldn't he give him the upgrade?
Right. No, that's true. Brian, what do you think? You're a big Spider-Man fan.
Yeah, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Honestly, I'm not a fan of the Iron Spider. I mean, I really like his. I really like the suit.
Okay. Yeah.
Not so much the legs.
You don't like the extra spider
the
legs?
mechanical legs? No, I'm not a big fan of that. But I am
a little too Doc Ock for you, maybe.
Yeah, but the suit's cool. The fact that he can breathe in space is cool. I mean, even some of his lines in this movie, being in space and stuff. Some of this, like when he says, "Have you ever seen the really old movie Aliens?"
Yes,
that's kind of his line. Is like, "Have you seen that really old movie?" And it's either Empire or Aliens now.
Yeah, and he does, and Stark's like, no more pulp culture references for you, and it's just funny.
Is Footloose still the greatest movie ever?
It never was. Yeah, I mean it's I mean they're just
it still makes me laugh.
He's got some really good lines in it. Oh man, I lost my train of thought.
The Iron Spider suit.
John threw me with the
Footloose reference.
What I was gonna say was I thought it was really funny that they made a reference to the Alien franchise, and here who's the guy that did Alien?
James Cameron.
Yeah, and James Cameron.
Oh, it was like completely crapping all over
comic
book films.
Yeah. Instead, I hope people get burnt out on comic book films because it's killing blah blah blah.
He's not saying he thinks like he hopes they get burnt out. He doesn't think they're like pure science fiction. But that's only because he's being interviewed for this AMC series that he's doing right now.
I just thought it was funny that they actually referenced him, and it's like. I wonder if that happened before or after. I mean, obviously, probably happened before.
Well, it was probably before.
But it's just funny that that would actually happen. Like
that's what happened.
Well, that's only Aliens.
Arguably, Aliens was the last good James Cameron script. So, or I should say, his best of his scripts.
All right, so I kind of alluded to this in the non-spoiler, but let's talk about Cap for a minute, and I wanted to hear more about this story because. Captain is not. He's the Cap. He's still Captain, but he's not really Captain America per se. His suit doesn't display the star anymore.
It does.
Well, it does, but it's dull.
It's blacked out.
Blacked out.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the shield. It's like he's obviously rogue and he's obviously renegade. And he's kind of accepted that, so he's not really Captain America. He's still a leader.
He's Captain Disillusioned, is what he is.
Yeah, or
after Civil War, he's Captain Disillusioned.
Yeah, I forget what the word is. Like when they get rid of a spy. But
Captain Mission Impossible Fallout,
which was another trailer that was on there.
Which is another great trailer.
It's something. I can't think of the word.
Disavowed.
Thank you. He's like Captain.
I was gonna say it's right there in the Fallout trailer.
Yeah. So yeah.
Captain Dist.
I don't know. Would you? Maybe I was the only one that kind of took note of it. Did you guys make it? Did that make any impression on you guys at all? Because it kind of did me. I kind of took me back. I was like, I want to know a little bit more about that, and there just wasn't time, I guess. But
don't get me wrong. I definitely wouldn't mind having a further backstory with Captain America and the stuff that's happened, that's transpired since, that. But for me, this just felt like he had another costume change because he's gotten a costume change in every movie he's been in so far.
Okay.
And it just kind of felt like this was where his costume needed to go, to kind of stay current.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where like, everything has gone kind of dark, and so he goes kind of dark with his outfit because you can still see a star.
Mm-hmm.
There was a close up, some of the holes in his outfit, and you can actually see the original Captain America stuff underneath.
Underneath of it.
I mean, I was okay with it. I wasn't shocked by it. It didn't catch me off guard. Although the music did catch me. It did. It was one of the goosebumps moments.
Yeah, when he first comes out of the shadows.
When he catches it and then steps up and it plays his music and you're like, ooh.
There's Cap.
Well, because they got the composer from the very first Captain America back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was good, but I don't think it was.
John, did you take any notes on that? Honestly, I found it kind of interesting.
I'll tell you the truth. It was a natural progression for him. Because if you think about it, every single Captain America film up to Avengers, we have seen his character go from
naive.
I mean, when we think of the 40s, we think of it is incredibly easy to be patriotic. Mm-hmm. Because it is
pure.
We're going up against the evil, and America in every point was doing the right thing. Then you get to like the events of Civil War, or not Civil War, but Winter Soldier, where it's a guy struggling to stay loyal and patriotic in a modern world that does not respect those values anymore, which again is why I love Winter Soldier so much. And then you get to Civil War, and he is made out by the people he's been defending to be the outlaw, because moral wise he's trying to stand up for what he knows is right morally,
right.
Which then of course leads him to be ostracized by the very thing he's been defending. So yeah, there's gonna be a black mark right over his symbol. So yeah, it's a natural progression.
I think I wanted to see more of that, and I definitely wanted to see the Tony Stark and Captain America reunion, but they just they touched on it and then they moved on.
I think we had enough of that with them beating the shit out of each other at the end of Civil War.
Well, that was the separation.
We do need a reconciliation.
Reconciliation, yeah, I guess.
I think we'll get that in the next one.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. All right. Let's move on to what I thought was hilarious, which was the Tony Stark and Doctor Strange dynamic. Just the back and forth, the tit for tat. It was hilarious, really. The whole when Banner can't perform, he's like, "You're embarrassing me in front of the Wizards," and just not only that element, but especially between him and Doctor Strange, and even when Strange shows up, he's like, "I'm Doctor Strange. Congratulations on the wedding." I don't know, just that, and then they had that banter back and forth between the two of them. I thought it was hilarious. I don't know if that was in the comics or not, because I never read any Doctor Strange comics. But do you guys know or any reference on that?
I haven't read any Doctor Strange but comics. I'll say this. That entire interaction left me cold because, I got to knock off all my points narrative-wise because not a single one of them made a Sherlock reference.
Oh, yeah, you're just sore because he's Sherlock. And
they're both Sherlock.
Yeah.
They're both Sherlock. Yeah, and if you saw the BBC Sherlock, that is the Sherlock.
And it had a moment there that they could have done it.
Oh yeah,
and it was just like, and it was like you didn't even throw it in, like you didn't even throw nothing,
a little nod,
even a no shit Sherlock comment.
Yeah,
or something.
Not even a Riefenstahl reference or anything like that.
Oh, okay, but I think the reason why that dynamic worked so well was because you have Stark, who is a realist scientist, engineering
science,
and then you have Strange, who is more of a
fantasy.
We'll say holistic because he's a doctor, right?
Right.
But then he also has the mystic arts. Yeah. So you have them back and forth, the banter between them of what really is going to work and what's not. And we have us having friends that are like that.
Yeah.
Can watch that dynamic happen in our group. So to watch it on the screen, that's why it works so well.
It's hilarious. I found it, especially when Strange goes to put up his shield, and then
it'd be like you and one particular sister discussing faith.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But Strange puts up his shields and stuff, and then Iron Man swoops in front of him and takes just the one-upmanship that was going on, the egos. It was hilarious.
You know what? So. And going back on what you were saying there, Hank, which actually goes into one of the stories I'm writing about science versus faith. I think that's why that dynamic works so well, is because under the surface of all of that, that's exactly what it goes down to. It is the science versus faith thing. It's the what was it? What was the lead character's name? Dr. Shepard on Lost and John Locke. The two of them, the man of science, man of faith, kind of dynamic.
Yep.
Gotcha. I'm actually one of the few people who've never seen Lost, so I know.
Oof.
I know.
Sorry, it's a shame. I love it. I don't care what anyone says about the ending.
You should watch every episode except the last one.
But the last one, huh? Okay.
So I have an interesting theory about that. I'll get to that later, but go on.
All right. Let's stick with Doctor Strange, and let's talk about his main rival in this movie, I guess, which was Ebony Maw, which was basically looks like somebody out of Harry Potter.
Oh, you mean the Dementor on that one Strange World with the cloak and everything that turned out to be Agent Smith?
No.
There was another little Harry Potter moment there.
No. This is pretty much Voldemort all over again with longer hair and tentacles or something. I don't know what
and a nose.
Well, he doesn't really have a nose either.
He doesn't?
Not really. Yeah. Jesus. Anyway, so this was interesting just to watch the wizard banter tree between them, and and how Strange really gets his ass kicked pretty much kicked.
Ebony.
Yeah. What did you think, John, of the back and forth, the little wizard's duel and stuff like that? I thought it was kind of cool.
It
was cool.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian.
It didn't have too much that it sunk in with me that it was like a full on wizard duel. That said, I'll say it was actually neater than any of the final war of the Harry Potter series at the Hogwarts. It's like I hear wizard duel. This is what I think of.
Yeah.
I don't think of wand, block, sparks, poof.
Right. This is more.
This is a wizard battle here.
Yeah, this was actually a
Battle
battle.
of the Minds.
This is, yeah.
Well, it's
This is
Battle of
actually-
the Minds, really.
This is a battle.
And abilities.
And again, Doctor Strange blows every fucking wizard thing out of, the original Doctor Strange movie blows every fucking wizard thing out of the water in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the interaction between these two, to see them go back and forth, and one would do one thing and then one would counter it, and the other one would do this, and then and then the cloak,
The cloak would
the
kick
cloak,
in.
Yeah, I love that cloak.
pulling him out of the thing, no, and then he goes after him, and then you got Spider-Man coming after him, and he's without even looking, just moving stuff and hitting spiders.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the amount of power that he had was amazing. But I will say this: he died stupid. For being a wizard,
We were going to get, told off
Being
to
a
the
wizard,
end. But
but this is the thing with wizards is if they aren't able to react to it in time. And
right?
again,
But he should have been. He was far
he
enough.
should have been able to react to it.
If Tony could, freeze over the door, whatever the hell he did, metal or whatever it was that he put in front of the hole, right?
The T-1000 freezing
Yeah,
stuff.
right. So he had enough time to do that. With as fast as Ebony Maw put the metal around Thor on the Asgardian ship,
yeah. You think he had enough time to save himself?
he had enough time to save himself. But then all of a sudden, I mean, it played well into the story,
It did.
but it was just one of those things we killed him like that, huh?
I think the other, and the other thing, getting back to Strange, I think what I liked is Strange's abilities. He outthought, when he went to grab for the amulet burned him because he's he had a spell on it.
It's a simple spell, but it's unbreakable.
Unbreakable, yeah. Good luck breaking a dead
I
man's spell,
I actually really like that line. It's it's a simple spell, but you can't break it.
Yeah, it's these counter actions, and how when Thanos grabbed it, it was a fake. And
You know what?
actually had it
I think would have
somewhere.
been a more satisfying ending with that would have been kind of like the Dormammu ending, because honestly, the way they ended Doctor Strange with the final battle with Dormammu, that was probably the absolute best ending of any
Because he outthought
hero
him.
villain, because he outthought him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big world-ending epic battle.
Mhm.
No, it was just literally a battle of the minds, and that's what that should have been.
And that's what Wizard Duels should be.
Exactly,
in
it's
the
a
end.
battle of
Yeah.
who can outthink the other, who can
Absolutely.
mentally get the better.
Alrighty, here. Let's talk about. I want to talk about Thor meeting the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think I liked his interaction with Star-Lord the best, and
Who can't like interacting with Star-Lord?
Star-Lord changing his voice to sound like Thor.
It was.
Are you making your
so
voice
funny.
lower?
What made that even funnier was the fact that because you have what's his name?
Rocket.
No,
Drax?
Yeah, Drax.
Drax.
You had Drax and you had
Gamora?
Mantis.
Yeah.
Both of them are so bad at they're so bad at the punchlines and stuff. They're just so truthful.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're changing your voice, blah blah blah." He's like, "I am not. You did it again." It's just
No, I'm not. It's like, you just made your voice deeper again. No, this is how I always talk.
Are you mocking me? Are you mocking me? He's like, "You just did it again. He did it first." It's just.
I like how when they bring two Avengers together for the first time, it's just hilarious. They play off their insecurities or whatever.
Yeah, I also liked when he called them morons.
Yeah.
Because Rocket, he goes, us three will go this way, and you morons can go that way. So as they're leaving, Thor goes, "Good luck, morons."
That's their
And I like how Rocket's just like, you know what? I'm the captain. Yeah,
I am the captain. Yeah.
Star-Lord just can't get any respect, man. It doesn't matter.
like you with Star Wars.
Pretty much.
Or I should say you with us in Star Wars.
Yeah, it's true. We have something in common there. But yeah,
How is your love for Footloose?
I I like Footloose.
It's okay. It's not.
It's a great movie. All right.
I'll know how much you love it when you start doing like entire podcasts on Footloose.
I don't think that'll ever happen, John. But never.
Notice he
never.
didn't say no.
That's why I said never say never. But anyway, yeah, it was just really good comic relief, if nothing else, and just the whole back and forth, the banter, even from when he hits the. We even saw it in the preview, but where Thor, his body hits the outside of the ship, and Rocket, get it off!
Yeah. He's like,
where are the wipers?
Wipers! Get it off!
Just everything, and he's like,
dude, he's not a dude. You're a dude. He's a man.
He's a pirate.
You're a sandwich away from being fat. I am not. He's like, yeah, you are.
That line actually reminded me of like how much Chris Pratt lost weight just to do Star-Lord.
I mean, it was just
because he went from being like kind of the pudgy guy from Parks and Recreation to, dude, the Parks and Rec guy's kind of ripped.
Yeah,
but I like how they describe Thor. He's like a pirate
and an angel
mixed together.
It's like a pirate and an angel had a baby.
Star-Lord's in the back. He's like, "That's it. I'm getting Blowflex," or he hasn't even said something.
I'm getting Blowflex.
Even Rocket says, he goes, "It's me, Groot, and the pirate angel."
Pirate angel.
It was so funny.
Oh my god!
I think that actually might be my favorite interaction. Is like Rocket and Thor.
I don't know who wrote that.
I mean, we're gonna get to the more of that coming up.
Yeah, I mean that whole interaction was fantastic between those guys, and like the fact that like they're on their pod, right?
Right.
And he's like, I am Groot, and Thor's like,
you're very right, sir.
Yeah, you're very right, sir. You can speak Groot, and he's like,
of course I speak Groot.
It was an elective. It was an elective at school, and then he goes, I am Groot. And he goes, just pee in the cup and then pour it out and pee in it again. And he goes, I am Groot. It's so great.
I forgot about the peeing.
Oh man, it was so funny.
It's like when we thought about it, it's like we've got so many different like Marvel movies right now. It's like, how are they going to meet up with the Guardians of the Galaxy? Like, wait a minute, Thor's the bridge between this world, and then it's like this is how we're all going to tie them together. We knew Thor was going to be that bridge between the Doctor Strange.
Thor is he's in the comics. Mm-hmm. He becomes part of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So we knew that dynamic was going to happen, but it is so funny when it does happen. Though
it's hilarious.
And another thing too is, and I got to bring it up when we go back to when they go back to Nowhere to meet the Collector.
Yeah.
For a while, who actually is the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy is Howard the Duck.
Mm-hmm.
For a little while, Howard the Duck is the leader
for
of
a
the
short
Guardians,
period of time.
Which for a moment there made me realize. That's why Lucas wanted to make this movie, is he probably read all of those issues and knows how it tied in. We'll get into that later.
Okay.
Can we also say
we should do a Howard the Duck podcast. Just for your George Lucas tie-in.
The movie should have ended right there.
In Nowhere? Or?
Yeah, like before we even get to Nowhere. It could have ended.
Well,
the whole movie could have ended.
Well, we had
short.
Well, no, but
it
I'm
would
just
have
saying
been an hour and 15-minute movie.
Well, no, but I'm just saying it could have ended because essentially Gamora, if she had not went there, he would have never gotten the Soul Stone.
True. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
We are getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, but just one last comment on the whole
thing.
I think it speaks wonders to the epic and the vastness of this movie, and yet even when it does slow down, they hit us with this great comedy, to break up the seriousness and the craziness that's going on that we're watching. And I think it's just, I think it's a good testament to the writing of the movie overall. So, just to make that point. All right, so let's talk about Peter Dinklage's role as the Forge Master. Made him a giant.
We are getting to my favorite part of the damn movie right here.
As the giant dwarf.
The giant dwarf!
And he doesn't have any hands.
He has hands, but they're like stone. They don't work. But Jesus Christ, the whole time we're like, we have to get to the dwarves. The dwarves forward. There's this. And I'm like, and I hate to say it, even in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, Lord of the Rings, going to the dwarves. There's going to be like, some forced perspective stuff here. There was, but not on the scale that I was thinking.
The opposite
Peter Dinklage is like fucking towering over everybody.
Yeah, he's a giant dwarf.
And I remember my wife and me just going, is that fucking Peter Dinklage? Is that Tyrion Lannister that's like 25 feet tall?
Yes. and he's the Forge Master. And surprisingly,
Beautiful.
it works, and it works really
Oh
well.
god, it doesn't work. It is probably the best thing that works for me in this movie.
And I love the whole scene with him. I like how Thor takes on the power of a star, showing like how God and powerful he really is. And
which again, how many times has Thor like been like, oh god, he's gonna die?
Yeah,
in this movie.
And the coolest thing about it, the whole thing that scene was to me was that Groot, when he put it together, that became the handle for the for Stormbreaker.
It was pretty funny because that was like, so we've watched Groot be like at the end, you know, and he's like this all, you know,
he's a teen.
Well, before that, like when we first meet Groot, he's older and he's knowledgeable and everything else. Yep. And then we at the end of it, we see him as a little thing and he's just all happy and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then we see him as a teen and he doesn't really do anything. And this is like the moment where, you know, when you hit that like...
coming of age moment?
Yes, coming of age moment. And he's like, he's willing to sacrifice. You know, well, then I can sacrifice. And then, he does that and chops off his own arm and he has the...
Honestly, it's that moment when a teenager stops being an asshole.
Yeah,
yeah, really.
That's what I mean. Is the coming of age.
That was a great moment too. Yeah,
that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it like that. Good perspective. Yeah, but again, I don't know why, but as a giant dwarf just worked for me.
Oh God, on so many levels it works. I love it.
But yeah, and again, to see the actual forge where he had his hammer made, and now they made Stormbreaker. For me, it was. I'm not even that big of a Marvel fan, and I was kind of geeking out about all the stuff that happened, with the...
Well, it's like watching, medieval weapons getting formed. There's like a whole show on, like, the making of knives and everything.
Forged in Fire.
That's what it is. Forged in Fire.
I know, I watch it.
Yeah.
It's on my DVR.
See? There you go. I mean, it's as intriguing as watching that.
And it is pretty cool. Yeah. Just watching that show, you know what I mean? Like, they take random pieces of metal and make a small knife, and then they get to make the... creation. Now, what will be awesome is on Forged in Fire.
This is a killing blade.
Yeah. this will kill.
This will kill.
This will kill. This will cut. It's like it's a knife that's gonna cut. But no, like what I think would be kind of cool is if one of those shows they actually went with Marvel and they said, "You're going to recreate the Bifrost sword, or you're going to recreate."
You know what? We need a giant
Stormbreaker.
They go, we need a giant dwarf.
But that would be awesome if they did something like that, because this was pretty cool to watch.
It was impressive. I don't know. I got a really big kick out of it. I was like, oh wow. Maybe it's just because I really like Game of Thrones and I like Star Wars.
I just really like Peter Dinklage, and I like the fact that he's like a towering figure over everybody.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway. It was just really
because frankly to me that's his character on Game of Thrones is like, sure, he's small in stature, but that's the way his figure appears in front of everybody.
It would have been really funny if they done a nod there or something. He's like I can beat anyone, bring me your dragons, blah 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 blah. And
I think they
had him being drunk.
Yeah, I think they kind of do at the end where it's like, you know what, you had to attract you felt a connection with someone, dead. The ending of this movie is the Red Wedding for teens.
So speaking of red, let's talk about the Scarlet Witch and Vision's romance. Really didn't get to explore it too much. I think again,
they had a getaway.
The vastness of it going on. They had a little getaway. Yeah.
It was multiple getaways, from what they've said.
Right. We established it was a multiple getaway, but we saw just like one of it, and it was I think maybe 2 minutes at most.
Oh yeah, it wasn't very much
amongst a 2.5 hour film.
But you can tell there's a history behind them because they're like, she's torn if she wants. You always say you go back, or maybe. What if this time I don't?
Yeah, they're like struggling with each other, doing the whole sacrifice thing the whole time.
And you got Vision staring out the window where he's like, I hear something calling. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the stones.
The stone is making this. Yeah. I don't know. I guess it was. Like I said, it's capable, but at the same time, it doesn't resonate.
Now, granted, they show off her power finally in the last battle there, but did you guys feel like at first like they dialed her power down a little bit, because Scarlet Witch to me should have been able to take care of those two minions of Thanos rather quickly.
But I think her powers is. It's another one. It's almost like a Hulk type of power.
Emotionally.
Oh, it's emotionally driven.
Yeah. So I mean, like she can do whatever, But when she gets emotionally vested in something, that's when her power really kicks up, and she really just tries her hardest. So that's why I think it also it caught her off guard.
No, that's true.
Well, it's like when her brother dies. It's like when the full force of it gets unleashed.
Her power.
Yeah.
And we see it a little bit again at the end, and that was the other part. Was it just me, or when she's standing at the window watching the battle, couldn't she just have done her little
hand gestures from the window?
Yeah,
or does she have to be like up close? Is it like a proximity thing?
Is it a proximity thing? Because I always thought she could do it from farther away. I don't know. I was just it was one of those really small little nitpicking things.
I think watching her in Age of Ultron, like she has to be up close to somebody to like manipulate them. So I think it is a proximity thing.
Okay, all right, that's fair enough. So, let's move.
I don't know. Come on. My fellow comic book geeks, correct me, please.
Yeah, let us know. All right, let's talk about the big boy. Let's talk about Thanos.
The Thanos-sized elephant in the room.
Yeah, literally. We kind of talked about...
Which is bigger than most elephants.
We talked about it a little bit in the non-spoiler, but he's... this is a really well-done villain.
Jesus.
I was... almost because, even though it's incredibly warped, you can at least understand his logic that he's working from.
Well, yeah,
from
because he in his mind he's doing the right thing.
Right.
That is
and that makes
honestly
the best villain.
That's the best kind of villain.
Yes.
Because think about this: when The Dark Knight first came out, how long were we just like, Jesus Christ, the Joker's fucking insane? But then, like, how many times, like after repeated viewings, like, I kind of get it.
From an incredibly insane point of view, yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, but after a while, you got to understand it. That is the sign of a truly good villain. Is like they know that down the road you're gonna understand him, and you're like, I can see that.
But I think they even took it a next step because they even gave him a heart. I mean, not only did they give him like a logical point that you could understand him, but then they threw in the Gamora thing, and
that entire dynamic. Right,
you
there.
actually see this guy actually have somewhat of a heart,
like grief.
Just,
like he knows what. Like I think that's the moment that I really love the most. Is like that moment, like when we discussed before, when the Dementor turned out to be Red Skull on that one planet in order to get the Soul Stone.
That was a shocker, but yeah.
Fucking Agent Smith coming back.
Yeah.
When, they told him like you have to sacrifice something you truly care for.
Well, that wasn't even him.
Was it?
Agent Smith.
It wasn't him. It wasn't the actor.
It wasn't Hugo Weaving.
Oh, really?
Some other guy. But it made him look like him.
Some guy. Oh my god.
It was some other guy.
Some guy.
Okay.
You're amazing, some guy. But anyway, when they told him like you had to care for something, like you have to sacrifice what you care for, and Gamora just starts laughing like you don't care for anything, and you see him tear up.
Oh, he's got the tears running down his face.
Right. Well, it's not like a lesser movie, like would have just said, "Ha ha ha! Yes, there is something I care about. It is you. I'm gonna throw you off the ledge."
Well, they take
no.
the time
He was like crying about the fact like there is something I care about, and she's right here, and I don't want to do this.
Well, and then earlier in the movie, they take the time to show you the flashback and see the emotional connection he has with her as a little girl.
Yes.
And
when he took her,
that whole backstory.
Well, it wasn't even just that point either. It was right before she told her where the Soul Stone was, and she's trying. And he's like he brings her food, and he's like, "Here, I thought you might be hungry."
Yeah.
You know, he still cares for her.
Well,
and even to the end of the movie,
as demented as he is,
even at the end of the movie, you know, where he's having that flashback, and not really flashback, but more of like a dream sequence type thing. And she's like, "Did you do it?" And he's like, "Yes." And he goes, "What did they cost you?" And he's like, "Everything."
Well, even before that,
where it's just like, ooh,
there's levels to this guy.
Like he didn't realize how hard it was going to hit him. By doing that.
Yeah.
And even before that, like going into it, when he first sees her as a daughter, like that first scene you were talking about, when he has like that planet split, and there's like one half of the population on one side and one half on the other, and they're about to be executed. Even knowing that she was going to be a strong person, he takes the time to turn her head away from it because he doesn't want her to see it.
Oh, right. He said the same, and he said it too. And he's
like, I don't want you to see it.
Yeah, he's like, no, look this way.
Yeah. No, that's a moment where you see him take pity. Like he doesn't want her to see it. So this Thanos. Jesus Christ, they took their time on this one, and that's why I was like,
well, they did.
Everybody always like got on Marvel's case for having like, you know, one-dimensional or bland or ineffectual villains.
Well, that's true because they did have 19 chances at it or 18 chances at it.
So
that's good that they hit it finally. Woo!
they started to improve in the end, I think, at least because
2 out of 19 ain't bad.
Yeah, 2 out of 19 ain't bad.
what they
That's a hell of a
did.
record.
Well, before that, what they did was they were just
Reds.
supposed to be like, you know, the antithesis to the heroes and show off the heroes more. But this time, like, and again, like I said before, Thanos is the main character of this movie. Like, if you think of who the main character of this is, it is fucking Thanos.
It's his movie, just like Empire's Vader's movie. It's exactly the same.
Well, you can tell it's his movie because at the end of every other movie that we've seen in the Marvel Universe, the hero, their name comes up on the screen and it says Spider-Man will return, Black Panther will return, the Avengers will return. This one says Thanos will return.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It just wow. It was very satisfying. Maybe because of the drought of non-villains, but I think just because you can relate to him, he thinks he's doing the right thing, and he has a little bit of a heart in him.
You can relate to him, but I think another key issue with Thanos is the fact that you get the feeling that he can take away anything from the heroes at any point,
and because he's willing to lose anything to get what he needs, and therefore makes him that much more.
Well, and on top of that, he
dangerous.
In the beginning, we've seen him best both the strength and the Hulk, and also
Thor.
You know, I was gonna say the mindset of Loki.
When he bests Thor, and then Thor's talking to Raccoon, and he's like, he's never fought me. He did fight you. He's never fought me twice.
I forgot about that. Time to be the king.
Oh my god.
There are some for as dark and as bleak as this movie ends, there are some legitimately funny moments in this movie.
Yeah.
But that was a great scene too, because that goes back to Guardians 2, where he goes, "It's time for me to be the captain." He's going back to what's his name, the blue-faced
Yondu.
Where Yondu did for him, now he's doing for Thor. I was just like, "Oh, that's such a great scene, just a great moment."
That then the eyeball, and he's like, "Here, I just hold up." He's like, "Oh, thank you." And he's like, "I would have watched it first."
You wouldn't guess where I had to store
You don't
it.
know where I had to store that.
He's like, I can only store it in my and like right something else happens. And Groot was like looking over, and he's like this. So great.
So yes, as dark as this movie is, everybody don't forget there's really funny moments in this. That's what makes this movie.
As like my daughter said, whole movie. This is awesome. This is great. This is awesome. This is great. Gets the last 2 minutes. Movie sucked. And I was like,
it doesn't suck.
That's why I was trying to transition into
you just hurt now.
And that's why I told her. I said, no, hold on a second. I said, you have liked this entire movie up to this point. I said, I watched you. I said, you got goosebumps. I said, you're and you're like, almost tearing up at certain spots. I said, you have liked this entire movie up until the last 2 minutes. And she goes, well, yeah. And then you go and explain what happens in the comics, and she's like, oh.
Just because you're hurting doesn't mean it's bad.
She goes,
right.
Oh.
That just meant you felt something.
And I said, the next movie comes out in May. I said, you'll feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, so let's talk about it. My God, total surprises. The ones I thought were going to die going into this live, and the ones that did die.
Scrolling up on our text there, or
yeah, sorry. So the ones that did die are the ones that I thought were going the ones that were going to survive. The biggest one, and I'll just start with this one, is Spider-Man.
What? Spoiler
alert.
You mean the 10th Doctor, right?
I'm not sure that's quite the biggest one.
For me, it was.
Because
it's the most
biggest
emotionally
surprise.
resonating.
Okay. Yes, because I was going to say, because I'm pretty sure Black Panther, holy shit, who just had the biggest,
he just had one of the biggest fucking movies, and you're like the iconic, racial acceptance in a blockbuster, and you're like, you're gonna fucking kill him off?
I'm sorry.
Yes,
we were expecting $3 billion from you.
Well, what's funny is if you look at who got killed off, it's everybody except the original Avengers and a couple extra characters.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah,
it's all of them except for the original. It's the original
and the side
group.
No, it's the side characters. The side characters, really.
Those two. Yeah. But what's funny is that. You have all these other characters that die and all these other ones, but a lot of the ones that we thought, the reason why we thought Spider-Man 2 has a release date. They've already confirmed they're doing a Black Panther 2. Mm-hmm. They already confirmed there's another Doctor Strange coming. We already knew all these movies are coming. Like, oh, it's not going to be a problem because we already know the movies are coming. And then here we're watching, we're like, what?
What the?
What? Fuck? And then you have to think back to the comics, like, oh, never mind. I know why this is going to happen. So
again, you also got to think back to these are comics. we are used to our beloved favorite heroes dying and returning multiple times.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember the look on your face. You sat there for 2 minutes, like I did at the end of Last Jedi, and you just sat there.
We're like, wait. That's that's
Last Jedi versus comics. We're used to like
mine
comics
wasn't
coming back.
Mine wasn't so much the fact that they all died.
Yeah,
It was the fact that the movie ended there.
yeah,
Like-
with Thanos
like-
sitting
yes.
down with the smile.
Yeah, and I was like,
yeah.
That's how it ended. Like it wasn't even like the Avengers like going on like a quest like they did for Empire.
Did you want them like to
You know what I
have
mean?
like a big line and start walking down to Mordor?
Yeah, something like that. No, like they were like coming back together as a group.
Finally,
Yeah,
to fight
you know,
together.
Yes, like what are we gonna do now? Something like that. You know what I mean? But
Again,
instead, they did it with Thanos and the sunset and everything else. But if you think about it,
Because again, it wasn't the Avengers movie.
right. Yeah, if you think about it and go the opposite way and think about it as the Avengers were the bad guys and Thanos was the good guy, and you're watching the same movie and you're thinking that was a great ending.
Yeah.
You know, Thanos did this, and then Thanos looks off into the sunset, and it's like end of his movie, and you're like, yeah. But because we like the Avengers,
because for like
invested.
because for 18 movies and for all these movies in the last 10 years, we're used to following the protagonist.
Yeah.
This is the first time it has asked the audience to follow the antagonist. And yeah, I think that's why it's like not sitting so well with everybody, because our protagonist that we've come to love and think of as the Innocence, yes, Spider-Man, and watch him. And I'll get to his death. I want to save that death.
All right, we'll save it for last because
of,
I got some comments on that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, Black Panther. We were talking about Panther. Let's talk about Panther. So Panther's gone. There's no more.
That's that's a bold move there, MCU. I'll say that.
Star-Lord, which surprised me too.
You know what? The fact that he blew the degloving of Thanos there.
Yeah, kind of deserved what he got.
Fuck it. Yeah, I was like, God damn it,
He's
Star-Lord.
all heart, man. He's all heart.
He's all. You know what? All heart gets the world killed.
although it was funny,
Just
like
half.
it was funny the way they all didn't go at the same time.
Yeah, they
Like-
took their turn.
Yeah,
their
they took
dramatic effect.
yeah.
Or just kind
And
of like a ripple effect, like a wave.
Well,
in a
because
way.
you had Mantis, I don't feel good. Something's wrong, and then she kind of just evaporates, and then Drax kind of evaporates, and then you don't really see anything with Quill, and then all of a sudden you see Stark go, Quill, stay with me, and like you just see him
go fade off.
Yeah, and it was just like,
and you know what?
and it was like, ooh.
If you think about it, and we'll get into it with the other person later, Mantis is an empath. She feels things that are happening. And that's probably why she had that sense of, something's going on.
She was like, it was as if a million voices just cried out.
Suddenly silenced.
It's as if a million Facebook comments suddenly...
nerds were suddenly enraged and they were suddenly silenced.
And suddenly just took arms against Rose.
Vision is kind of half dead, or is dead.
He's dead. He's in the glove now.
Oh yeah, I mean,
he's in the damn glove
there
now.
wasn't even a.
He just kind of turns like blue. And he's gone.
He did he turned back into metal, like completely metal. So there's all gray.
He's
Right.
essentially.
But what was really funny is like we've everything was, if you take the Mind Stone out and blah blah blah, he can still as long as she disconnected all the thing, you're like, okay, he can still survive.
Yeah.
But when Thanos went to reach for it, he took half his fucking forehead with it. Like it was just like a
because that's the thing is like all the connections weren't severed yet in the surgery, because they were still.
But it's just funny because of how big he is. Like because if if one of us were going up, we would have grabbed the edge of the stone and pulled, right? And then
But it's
and
still
then the
attached,
way,
though.
right? And the way we would have thought when you're pulling it out, you would have saw like the stuff that's still attached, kind of cool. But he like crushed in the forehead and took a, you know what I mean?
Now that I think about it, and I just thought about it, it's like everybody that went had an emotional attachment to somebody else.
Yeah.
Other than Strange. Although Strange is... I'll talk about Strange here in a minute, but everybody has an attachment.
Who?
Okay, so...
well, let's think of the first one. The very first body count on there that you haven't mentioned. Gamora.
Okay, yeah, Gamora is Thanos' connection.
Yeah.
Okay, but you have...
Loki in the beginning, too.
You've got Vision is Scarlet Witch's connection.
But Scarlet Witch died too.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just...
Oh, okay.
bad example.
Okay.
But let me look.
Hole in your plan. Yes.
But I think it's Spider-Man to Iron Man, right? that's an emotional connection. You've got
Bucky.
Bucky to Captain America. You've
Groot
got
to Raccoon.
Groot to Raccoon.
Well, I mean, obviously, everybody's gonna have somebody who they're close to, like from their own movies.
And another thing to think about too: Rocket Raccoon's the only surviving member of the Guardians.
Yes. Yeah. The Guardians.
Damn.
Well, no, not really, because Nebula is part of the Guardians.
She is. I mean,
Yep.
she is in the sense that Batman's part of the Justice League when he says he's a part-time consultant.
Well, I mean, because even in the movie, Nebula's when she gets out of her little,
Her
force
prison, yeah.
force field, whatever you would call it, she calls the Mantis and says, "Meet me on Titan."
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too is like in Infinity Gauntlet in the comics, Nebula is an incredibly big key player in the Infinity War.
Yeah.
So
And then actually Cap's a double loser because he also loses the guy who flies.
Falcon.
Yeah. So it just kind of hit me there. I don't know. Interesting comparison. Let's talk about Strange's because Strange saw what was it, 14 million,
14.3 million.
No, it was like 14,631,000
so
scenarios,
and there's only one where they won, and we're thinking it's when they're trying to get the glove off Thanos, but he already knows that that's going to fail because later, right before he disappears, he says this was the only way.
We're in the end game now,
In the end game.
and that's what they said the room was for Avengers 4
Feige
title.
Yeah, Feige's already said no to that.
It's
But,
Avengers 4 Endgame.
but
that's
it would be a
the
cool
thing
title.
is if it's the he said he saw 14 million ones and there's only one that succeeds and he says we're in the end game now. This could still be the one that wins.
Oh, it is. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because that's that wizard out thinking. Even though he knows he's going to die, that he's going to be one of the ones that temporarily passes away. In the end, he knows that there's a chance that he survives it. And
he knows he's going to survive it.
Well,
because that's the only way that he could survive.
Right, one probability. So to me, that's the ultimate wizard win.
Thanos, I've come to bargain.
Which is another thing that we all thought was going to happen because it happened with we're like, ooh, that's going to happen this one, and then Thanos is going to do something and be like, just smack him or whatever because he's going to have a stone or whatever. But
yeah, although I do like how Thanos calls out Thor on his stupidity. You should have cut off my arm.
Head. Yeah, you should have
went for the head.
Aimed for the head.
Yeah, you should have went for the head.
Yeah. So let's talk about Spidey. What kind of effect is this going to have on Iron Man? Because
we already saw it.
Well, a little bit, but I mean, going forward.
Well, here's the thing. Even before I went to see this movie, I, for the first time, watched Spider-Man: Homecoming, and before that, my wife saw it before I did, and she went, "It's like I don't see how it really fits in the MCU." And when I went to watch it, she's like, "Maybe you could tell me how it fits in." I was like, "There's only one way I know this fits in, and that's the relationship with Tony Stark and Peter Parker." I was like, we need to see that here. And that's exactly what I got. And that's the fact that this is Tony's kid. This is the only kid Tony has. It's Peter.
Exactly.
And that's what I wanted to get into. Mantis, being the empath, sensed that something was wrong. But when we also saw on the bus, when all of his arms stood up on end,
the Spidey sense.
The Spidey sense went off when he said, "I don't feel right." He sensed he was about to die.
Yeah.
Nobody else before that, like you said, Drax, Star-Lord, nobody else knew that.
Yeah.
And that moment hit him when he's like, "I don't want to go.
Well,
I
Bucky did.
I don't want to go."
But
I think he was starting to fade away a bit.
I think that's what all of them were like, what the hell? Even at the extra credit scene with the
Fury
and whatever her name is,
Anita Hill,
Agent Smulders or whatever.
Kobe Smulders.
Kobe Smulders, yeah.
Kobe Smulders. Who was originally going to be Wonder Woman if Joss Whedon directed Wonder Woman.
So I want to talk about Stark though, because Stark obsessed after the attack on New York. That was kind of like his storyline, right?
Yeah.
He was incredibly obsessive up to that point. What will this do to him now? Will he go bloodlust crazy?
Yes.
Or will he
I don't
just
think it's
become
bloodlust crazy, but he'll be vengeful.
Go introvert where he doesn't want anybody around him?
No, it's going to be vengeful.
I think he's essentially going to become what he did in that cave in part 1.
Yeah.
Like when he just retreats into his cave and he just builds
massive weaponry.
Everything he possibly can. He's going to build the Thanos Buster or something.
Well, what I thought was really interesting about the whole thing was when Thanos goes, "Stark," and he goes, "You know who I am?" He goes, "You're not the only one gifted with knowledge."
Yeah.
Or cursed with knowledge, is what he said.
Yeah, cursed with knowledge.
And it was just like, ooh,
little reflection of himself.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just
I can only imagine what I'm on the bloodlust side. I think he's going to go nuts. I think he's going to push all the Avengers away from him. He's going to want to do it himself because he's let down Parker, And I think
that's going to be a big driving force for him.
It'll be a big theme in the next one.
It's going to be a big theme, yeah. But and I think this is what we're going to get into when you're asking what you don't want to see that reconciliation between Cap and Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it's going to happen.
This is what drives him, and Cap has to set him straight or something.
Yeah,
maybe, I don't know.
Well, it's going to be a big factor because, like we said, like the biggest key players are the original Avengers that are still around.
Yeah.
So,
it's going to be.
And don't forget, we had Avengers that weren't even in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean
you
had Ant-Man. You had Ant-Man. You had Hawkeye.
Yeah.
They could show up for the next one.
Oh, they will be. They'll be in the next one.
And there's something funny I just discovered today that I went online to look up. Let me see if I can put it up here. It's a website called didthanoskill.me. And like if you type that address into your search engine,
it tells you you're saved or not.
It'll tell you if Thanos killed you or not.
Yeah,
it's like you've been spared by Thanos. You've been killed by Thanos.
Yeah, I did that earlier today.
My wife posted it. She's like, "I've been spared," and I was like, "You're going to be very lonely, honey." And I posted my result.
Yeah, I got spared as well.
I have to look that up. What is it?
It's didthanoskill.me. Just do it right now. I want to see what it.
Okay.
Let's
Here,
watch
I'll move on to the next topic. You guys keep talking.
No. I want to see you type the address in.
It's going to take me a minute.
If you do like the one finger type, or
yeah, pretty much. You guys talk about what your favorite scene is while I do this real quick.
Hank, you want to take the first one, or
what are we doing?
Our favorite scenes.
Scene.
He's typing in the website right now.
Favorite scenes.
Scene or
did Thanos win?
Yeah, it says scenes, right?
Did Thanos kill.me?
Yeah. So my favorite scene was actually all the ones with Thor. I was not as big of a fan of Thor as I am coming out of this movie.
I'd say that. He was easily the most impressive of the Avengers in this.
Yeah, and it was just
because essentially he cheats death like 3 times in this movie.
I liked the Thor.
What do we got there?
I was slain by Thanos.
Okay,
Sorry,
okay, for everyone watching right now, if
it's just me.
If the snapping happened,
one Midwest guy,
one Midwest guy. If the snapping were to happen right now, we would have our one Midwest guy right here.
Woo! Still represented.
I just wish I had the special effects, John, to send us away.
I don't want to go.
Yeah, my favorite scene I would have to say would be all the ones with Thor in them. Yeah. I liked all the other Thor movies, but like we were ranking them the other day, they're not the top of my list.
The first 2 Thor movies are like near the bottom of all my MCU lists.
But Thor in this movie, was just amazing.
Yeah,
like he really was the God of Thunder. And
he was the big standout hero amongst everybody.
Yeah, I that's what for me that's what that would be my favorite scenes was all the ones with Thor involved.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh God, there's so many because it's just there's so many different characters, and I guess just like the ones that resonated the most. Thor's are the ones that really stuck with me too. And I think it wasn't so much the first death cheating where he's like blown out into space. I think it's like him forging it in the star where he's basically said like you're gonna die if you hold this gate open.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, and essentially he's like, this is what a hero does: is he puts himself immediately at risk to save everybody else. And in like the scene alone where he's trying to restart the star to forge everything, like that right there is
awesome.
Yeah,
that was cool. I really liked when he rode the Bifrost back because he can wield it now with the Stormbreaker.
Yeah,
and he rides it back and he lands and Groot's next to him and then Rocket's on his shoulder. It was like, yes.
And another thing I want to point out, another thing that was really awesome was like the final battle in Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, like when we saw like Lord of the Rings movies, like when they had like their battle scenes, they felt like fucking battles, like like opposing war sides, like actually plotting each things out.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that since Return of the King. This is the first time that watching everything like at that wall of Wakanda, I felt like 2 opposing armies literally playing chess with all the pieces. So that was another scene. That would probably be my runner-up scene right there. Was the fact that this actually felt like a war.
So the Avengers battle on Naboo. What is yours?
A Battle of Naboo done right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sad, but it's so dramatic. Is Spidey, man, just going that whole scene where he's holding on to.
That was your favorite scene?
Well, just dramatically, yeah.
Because I think it left the biggest impact.
I mean, because he's holding on, he's like, I don't want to go, and
then he says, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and Iron Man.
Like he says he's sorry to Tony Stark.
Yeah.
It was like,
because I think on top of all that, because what we discussed before is like the fact that he's sensed it, he knows he's about to die, but at the same time, it's a damn kid. He hasn't even graduated high school, and he knows he's about to die.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's fucking scared.
And along those sad, even at the end when Thanos sees Gamora as a kid again, and that's dramatically impactful too to me. I just kind of really hits you with the heart. As much as the special effects are in this movie, and as much as the all the different story plots and the lines and the epicness of the stones and everything, the heart there at the end is just like, wow, man, that's just drives home. It hits home. I have a daughter, and there's no way I would sacrifice my daughter for anything. But you get that those feels.
Abraham on top of the mountain, ready to sacrifice his own son.
Precisely. Yeah. And all three of us have daughters. We know what that feels like. So God
damn you, Thanos, you heartless son of a bitch,
rotten bastard.
Yeah.
But definitely my favorite. So it may be, like I said, maybe not the coolest by any stretch.
But no, it's not the coolest looking, but it's like you said, it's what connects with you, and that's what a good movie does. Is like it takes its darkest moments and makes you remember it.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely remember that. There's no doubt. But for coolest, I'm with you on the Forge. The Star Forge is probably one of the coolest scenes I've seen. All right. So let's talk about how does Marvel listen to its fans. John, I'm gonna let you lead with this one because this was your big.
They're all on cell phones.
They're all on cell phones. Yeah. Okay.
This was your big point you wanted to make. So
it's like as the phases went on, like what started to become tropes online about the villains starting to be ineffectual, the villains like kind of having like the whole they're essentially catalysts for the plot. They started realizing that because they know they were building up to Thanos, but at the same time, as we started getting into villains with like Ragnarok and Black Panther and Doctor Strange, like the last couple ones, and especially Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming, which, again, when I saw it fairly recently, so the fact that watching that twist with, again, a spoiler within a spoiler, that's like 16 spoilers here. The fact that Vulture turned out to be Peter Parker's date's father when he goes to pick her up at the end. That whole twist alone was, in lesser hands could have been ham-fisted, but it was actually really well done, and I like that.
Okay, so you see it in the evolution of the villains.
I see the villains like evolving and like actually having more of a lasting effect.
Yeah. Yeah, because you get like the Iron Man 2 villain, which I barely remember. Whiplash, the Axe Boy from the original Guardians of Galaxy.
You know what? I'll say this. I have my own issues with Mickey Rourke. I'll get to that off camera.
Okay. But, there's I call him Axe Boy from the original Guardians.
Oh, fucking Hammer guy?
Yeah, or Hammer
dude. Or Ronin.
Ronin, yeah.
The fact that he was named after a De Niro film that more people should watch.
Okay. Brian, what do you think? You think they're listening? Do you think they've got a pulse? You just think they're doing what they're doing?
I just think they're doing what they're doing. They've known from the get-go how they wanted each one to be.
Yeah, so you think they did it on purpose with static villains?
No, I don't think they did it on purpose. And maybe they did listen a little bit.
They listened and they brought out more?
I think maybe they put more... little bit more thought into it, but they still didn't give us another Loki. Multiple movies where you like a lasting effect, like what I mean, something like that. But they did have, but the villains in the last several movies have been of better quality, even though they each only lasted a movie.
But here's the other thing too: is in the comics themselves, outside of like Magneto, Thanos, and Loki, and maybe for argument's sake Green Goblin, just because he has a cool design, who is actually memorable? in the Rogues Gallery.
Doc Ock is another one that's fairly.
I'd actually argue the movie version of Doc Ock was better than the comic.
Oh no, I'm not down yet.
Yeah,
but you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of characters that don't just end in one movie or
there's
thing,
a lot of them, but how many of them resonate?
Well, Venom does, but the version they did so far sucked. So he resonates from other sources with me.
And I think that's only because of the fact that Sam Raimi hated Venom and just literally shit on him on the big screen.
Yeah,
and we all saw
it was terrible,
and the fans responded like, "Yeah, fuck you, Raimi."
Yeah. So, all right, so let's move on. All right, we are finally to the point where we got some emailed in questions. Let me pull these up real quick.
Take down that graphic.
Oh yeah, thanks. I'm getting a little better.
Yeah.
All right. So these were questions that Brian threw them out there on the internet. Where you threw them out on Facebook? Or?
Yeah, on Facebook. I messaged a couple people.
Okay.
Who I knew had already went and saw the movie, and a couple of them had said, "When you see the movie, message me. I want to talk about it." Okay. So I messaged those guys and said, "Hey,
okay,
our podcast team's going to put together a podcast here, a review. What kind of stuff do you want us to talk about?" So these are some of the things that they sent in to me for us to talk about.
When are you going to kick that asshole John off your show?
Before you think... No,
if you're 4 Midwest guys, why is there only 3 of you?
That's a long story. All right, number one. So which deaths in the Infinity War are going to stick? Does that question mean that are they actually going to stay dead, or does that mean stick in our mind?
No. I think it's which ones are going to stay dead.
I'll say,
I think you have 5 of them.
Narratively, it's hard to say because
that's really hard.
Yeah, because here's the thing: if they bring back every single character, it's going to make all the events in this movie feel like it wasn't worth it.
Well, I think it's already going to be that way.
Well, yes and no. I think there's going to be some fallout in it, but I don't think it's going to...
I'll say...
with that kind of ending, we don't know where to go.
I'm going to say 6 of them. Can we name my 6, or do you want to go first?
Did War Machine bite?
No,
he survived.
Nope, he survived.
I think Falcon might stay dead, although there is rumor that he becomes the next Captain America.
Yep.
I think the Bucky might
in one of the comic lines he does.
I think they might make Bucky the next Captain America. So actually, that's just my theory.
Okay.
But so yeah, I'll say Falcon is one that doesn't come back.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll keep thinking. You guys okay?
Okay. All right, I got one.
You go.
Drax.
Really? He's kind of a fan favorite.
He's a fan favorite, but I'll say this, and it's because I've worked with him before. How many times has Dave Bautista died in a film?
I don't know much of Dave's work outside of Guardians,
exactly.
to be honest.
Spectre, Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Think of like every film he's been in, he's always died at the end. He's even said it's like, I always die in all my films.
I don't know. He's so funny.
He's a fan favorite. Yeah, he's great. But like the absence of his character will be felt.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
So I think Loki.
Okay.
Gamora.
Really?
Yep. And then I think it's going to be one or the other of the Falcon or Bucky.
Okay.
It's going to be one or the other because those are the two in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of those is taking on the mantle of the next Captain America. So it's going to be one of those two. And then all of Thanos' children.
Yeah. That's fair.
Those 4. So.
Yeah.
But I think the rest of them, I think they all come back.
Yeah. The rest all have different possibilities. I would hate to see Drax go. I think I'd be all right with Mantis not coming back. She's okay. But that's just personal feeling. There's no real theory or anything behind that.
Right.
It's just a theory at this point based on, you know, an actor's history, like of becoming the next Sean Bean.
Yeah. Damn you, Game of Thrones. Damn you.
Patriot Games, Lord of the Rings, everything he's been in.
His biggest death, though, is on Game of Thrones end of season 1. But spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, God, if you people haven't seen season 1 of Game of Thrones by now.
I don't think I ever saw season 1.
That's right. You never did you?
No, I don't think I did. I started in season 2.
We told you about it.
Yeah.
Though.
But season 2 is all about the effects of Tony Stark's Ned Stark's death.
Wrong Stark.
Yeah.
Wrong Stark.
There would be no other seasons if the Stark lineage.
Now there's a crossover for you. The Starks actually give birth to Tony Stark, and long line of Starks goes back to Ned Stark,
the Iron Dragon.
the Iron Dragon. There it is.
It'd be the Iron Wolf, wouldn't it?
I like it. Iron Dragon. There it is.
I am Iron Wolf. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh my god!
All right.
I want to go home and write that now. Jesus,
Good fan fiction right there.
that's the best fan fiction.
Okay. Where was Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie or Korg from Ragnarok? Good question. I've heard that Valkyrie is alive. That's what the internet's been reporting. And that's coming. Apparently now that's what I've heard from people on the internet. That's what Feige said. Now whether he really did or not, I don't know. Haven't really researched it. Korg, not sure. He just doesn't show up. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just really odd that we had those two big characters from Thor Ragnarok.
and people either love or hate Korg. So
Yeah, I mean,
don't know.
some of Korg's lines were pretty funny.
His lines are funny. It's just context
Yeah.
and the way that it fits into the rest of the movie. That's all it is.
Hey
Yeah,
guys,
so-
you want to do something?
Yeah. You
Oh,
want to
yeah.
start resistance?
Do resistance?
It's like, oh, Pete told it.
Or-
Oh wait,
or
Pete, Pete's
upheaval,
alone.
whatever he-
What's
whatever
up?
he
I was
called
like, it literally felt the movie came to a grinding halt whenever he talked.
Yeah. But it's just funny that we didn't see, like, I would have even liked to have seen him, like, in pieces on the floor.
I actually thought I did. I thought I saw the massive rocks. Like, oh, there he is.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean,
Or maybe just one.
There was
Just
his
Thanos going boom.
yeah.
there was his failed revolution right there.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd like to start a revolution, Thanos.
Yeah.
All right. Could it be we are watching one of the
14
million
14
plus
million,
scenarios
yeah.
Doctor Strange is focusing on? Yes, I do.
I think we did talk about that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he says that.
I think we're actually watching the one that
Yeah,
that
Strange
was.
Strange actually saw where they won.
I think it's pretty evident when he goes to, if nothing else, when he goes to Tony and says, "We're in the end game now." That this is definitely one of the.
Yeah, well, he even says
the
it.
scenario. That
Well, he even says it
win.
right before he vanishes too. He's like, "We're in the end game now," and then it's
Right.
so,
So-
he knew.
Yeah.
Speaking of, so I think now that I'm remembering a lot of stuff, how much spoilers do we want to go into here from me being on set or not?
On what?
Well,
You being
let's-
like,
just-
you were on a set of Avengers.
well, no, I was on the set of Avengers. I was on the set with somebody who is tied into the MCU. So do we want to see like how many people are actually listening to our show? Maybe we can get people to.
I will leave that up to you because that might get you in a little hot water. So that's up to you.
It might.
So if you want to display
I'll
your
just say-
insider information,
How if
it's
anyone
up to
wants to look me up and see who I've worked with recently, someone might be coming back. Is all I'll say. That's it.
you know what I want to see? I want to see Red Skull quit being that hovering thing and come back and be a bad guy again. That's what I want to see.
You don't want to see him be a Harry Potter Dementor anymore.
No, not anymore.
And another Harry Potter reference there.
Yeah, exactly, right? All right, next question. Where is Thanos? Is he in the Soul Stone at the end of the film? That's
an
a
interesting
That's an
theory.
interesting theory. I'd say he was just... Maybe the Soul Stone is interacting with him in his mind. I don't know if he's necessarily in the Soul Stone.
You know what? I think what he's done is he's had like that altered reality. Like he's probably
he's
back on
creating
Titan.
he's
and
creating
he's
the
created
reality.
that home back for himself. Because I've actually heard that somebody said Thanos
That's a good theory. I like
isn't
that one.
a genocidal maniac that goes around like killing planets by just goes there like planet dies, planet dies. He actually described it as somebody who just wants a comfortable chair.
Well, I mean, that's what he said. He goes,
Yeah,
I'm gonna rest.
I just want to
I
relax.
just want to
and-
rest.
rest,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what he's done is he's gone back to Titan and he's created his home again before the ravaging
Okay.
and just allowed himself to sit
Okay.
there.
Because
Maybe-
it is kind
That's
of funny
fair.
because when we do see him, he doesn't have the gauntlet.
He doesn't?
Oh,
I
he
didn't
doesn't?
notice that.
oh,
He doesn't have the gauntlet. So,
Is he taking it off? Or is he just in an alternate reality?
well, that's the other thing because he also when he right before that, where we see him with Child Gamora, he doesn't have it again either, and he looks down at his hand and it's gone, and then he sees her,
Yeah.
and she says, "Did you do it? What did it cost you?" And he said, "Everything." And then you see him walk out onto the the little country landscape or whatever,
Yeah.
and he just sits down and stares at the sunset.
Do you think he lost control of the gauntlet after he made his wish or whatever? And that's the
no,
like the
because
Dragon Balls kind of thing? Or
I would tend to go with John's. He's in a different reality because he can make his own reality, and he's sitting on Titan
with Gamora.
With Gamora, but it's all like it's back to where it was green pastures and stuff.
Yeah, before the ravaging. Yeah. Okay. How will the Lost Heroes play into the next film?
Emotionally. Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's both ways. I think it's emotionally and physically because I think they're all in the stones. I think, and so I think when just a speculation, but when when Adam comes, we saw Warlock. Adam from Guardians, Warlock. Adam Warlock.
That's the other key player in the Infinity Gauntlet comic storyline is it's Nebula and Adam.
Because Adam is the only other one that can wield the gauntlet.
Yes.
So so when that happens, I think all those I really honestly think that those were just they didn't really vanish. They just the reality got changed.
Oh.
Okay, because if you look at Bucky turns into leaves.
Yeah.
He doesn't turn into ash. He turns into leaves.
Okay.
And then because we watched Thanos turn like the guns into bubbles and other things, and they just kind of just vanished.
So they're different elements now.
Mm-hmm. I just think that
different planes of reality.
Yeah, just the reality's changed.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory. I ain't quite thought about it like that.
It's all magic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see, I had the theory that, and I think we talked about this a little bit, Brian, that they're going to sacrifice certain current members that are still around. Will sacrifice to bring others back. Like there'll have to be a price that's paid to bring them back.
There has to be.
Yeah. That's how I think they'll play into it, and that's how I think you'll see maybe Iron Man finally exit, or maybe Thor. I don't know about necessarily Thor, but some of the other, maybe Captain America.
Who's left alive at this point? Or?
Cap, Tony.
You know, I think Cap might, just because if they bring back Falcon or Bucky, like we were talking about, taking up the mantle of Captain America.
I could
again.
definitely see him sacrificing for Buck.
Yeah.
Or
After
Falcon,
Avengers 4, none of them have contracts.
That is true.
Yeah.
So none of the original cast has a contract after Avengers 4.
So I don't know. Let's see. All right.
6.
If Captain Marvel is on call with Fury and her movie is set in the 1990s, where has she been while all this is going on?
Rehab.
She could just.
If anyone has followed the events of, well, I would say Ms. Marvel beforehand.
Yeah. I think, she's probably tucked away. Fury's got her tucked away for the rainy day kind of scenario, and the rainy day is here.
Off planet, really, too, because in a lot of her issues, like she gets her powers from other worlds.
We'll find out. Does her movie come out before Avengers 4?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll find out then.
Like it's in March of next year.
Yeah, it's like right before. But what's funny is that if you look at the pager that he had.
Mm-hmm.
It was a damn pager too.
Well, it's 1990, so it's not that.
Yeah. But not only was it was a pager, but it was a souped-up pager, and it looked like it had extra boosts and everything else on it.
Mm-hmm.
So
the funny thing is I was actually
time traveling pager.
That's what I thought at first. But
whoa!
And
Jesus.
There goes Iron Man.
Jesus, man!
Cut him off. No more drinks for you.
But yeah,
just killed Iron. There's your prediction. Iron
there it is. Yeah, that's what's happening. Avengers 4.
Iron Man just fell to the ground. Yeah. But just like John was talking about, her getting powers. Maybe it was just a signal booster so that it would go to wherever she's at in the universe.
One of the things I was thinking, I was actually thinking,
or
on the
maybe
pager.
she's going to get Adam Warlock. Go ahead.
I was thinking on the pager, it was actually going to say Grey Malkin, which would really make the nerds crap themselves right there.
I don't know anything about him, so
X-Men. It's the address for the X-Men.
Oh, okay. You mean the mansion?
Yeah.
Like the X-Men have been there
Malkin
the whole
Avenue.
time, and we've never seen them in the Marvel universe.
Well,
because recently everyone was always wondering if they were going to tie in.
If they go multiverse.
Well, they're going to tie him in. It's just a question of as long as the deal goes through. There's just a question of when. But what could happen is
I'm fine with Logan coming over. But
it could
come back with a giant tree branch sticking out of him.
what could happen is it could be a like the realities change, so all of a sudden now they're there.
That is true, yeah.
Where they weren't there before,
because
but now the realities changed and now he's there. Kind of like the way they did from when they rebooted X-Men and
with First Class, and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or Days of Future Past. Sorry,
yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Which the X-Men's not, unfamiliar with reboots. So, which that said, I would like to see one thing from the comics come to fruition here, and that's Deadpool getting the Reality Stone to like obsessively break the fourth wall of everything.
Did you hear? Did you hear about the possible cameo in Deadpool with Hugh Jackman?
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
So they said that he's not going to be in the movie technically, but they said they could do a cameo when he's trying to put together the X-Force, and they're doing all those different interviews for who wants to be part of the X-Force.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, is he gonna be in the bar saying "Go fuck yourself" again?
Well, no, and it's got the one guy, he's the Peter. I don't really have anything, but I really thought it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And he puts him in there, okay, I have these claws, blah blah blah. I think it'd be kind of.
That'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Get off track there. So let's go to 7.
Could Thanos fall forever like Loki? So I guess they're saying if Thanos gets into space, could he just be falling forever?
Well, no, it's from Ragnarok, where Doctor Strange opens that portal
and just jumps.
I've
been falling for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on if Thanos has any mystical powers to get out of it.
What stones did he have at that point? I should say. Because he didn't have the space stone.
He already had the ability to get out of that because he got off that ship because he had the Power Stone and the Tesseract.
Right.
Yeah.
So
all right.
he couldn't do that.
Sorry, he's not going to fall forever.
Yeah.
He's going to just go.
Unless they get rid of the gauntlet, and then they can throw him in the bottomless pit, I guess. All right. Last question. Couldn't they have just cut his arm off like the brute at the beginning? Referring to Thanos. Yeah, I would have preferred that. I think if Thor just cut off his arm, he probably wouldn't have been able to snap his fingers.
Well, even just cutting off his arm, if Doctor Strange did the instead of setting Peter through the sling
ring around it,
he just put the ring through the hand and just.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know. Those are all plausible theories.
I think we just wrote a how it should have ended.
How it should have ended. There you go.
So, which, by the way, let me
notes.
show you the. There's a how it should have ended. I need to show you later.
The how it should have ended was Star-Lord doesn't piss him off and he doesn't just screw around. They just take the damn thing off of his hand.
Yeah. Star-Lord's like, if I really want to fuck you over, I'm just gonna let him do this.
Yeah. Or Gamora doesn't go to nowhere. And he doesn't get the Soul Stone. Oh.
Hey, maybe I should have listened to my wannabe girlfriend right here when she said she didn't want to go.
Although the interactions between those guys is still just funny. Like Star-Lord puts up his hand like stop, and they all keep going.
Yeah.
Or Benicio del Toro's character, and he's like marvelous.
Even if he was a creation in the glove. Which, I gotta say, the interactions of the characters in this are much better than the interactions in Volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So that brings an end to our podcast. Just real quick, I'll give you guys one last final thought on Avengers Infinity War. John, I'll let you go. What you got?
I'm going to say I'm torn between an A- or B+, if only for the fact that, for as much of the great stuff as we talked about, we also did touch on the fact that for it being a 2.5-hour movie, and a lot of the stuff didn't resonate or didn't have time to develop. So
that's fair.
There's when I first described this movie in the beginning, I described it as an epic. This is the first time we've seen a massive epic like this. But the epic that it more reminded me of was Cleopatra or Greatest Show on Earth, where it just felt like you saw, it was like, wow, this is huge, the scope is amazing, there's so many characters. There's not a lot of time for this movie to really breathe. So as great as it is, as much of a fun ride as it is, as an actual pinnacle moment of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as it is, I would say overall as a film itself, separate from the MCU, I'd give it a B+.
All right. Brian?
Yeah, I'm very close to that one. I'm right around the B range. But my thing is, there was just so much going on that some of the scenes didn't feel like they were fully fleshed out because we were doing something, and then we went over here. Yeah. And it's like, but I wanted to see what happened here. Okay, let's watch this. And you're watching this, and all of a sudden, nope, now we're going here. Yeah. And then you're here. And you just... Yep. There was just a bunch of different things, and I realized it was all going on at the same time, and that's what they were trying to portray. Right. But it just felt like there was just too many things that were going on at the same time. But like you said, it's because it was so compacted that they had to try to show as much as they possibly could.
Yeah.
there was that, but this also didn't. It's not my favorite MCU movie.
It's not mine.
Yeah,
either,
no,
but yeah.
not
So,
mine either. But
Yeah, so that's like it's gonna pull it down to a B.
that said, I do want to ask, as far as like multi-character, multi-storyline movies, have you ever seen Magnolia?
I couldn't watch it. I don't think. I
Okay.
think I tried to watch it, but I couldn't watch it.
I think I know why now.
I will say for me, I'll go with the A minus, only because it's the pinnacle. It's something they've been building towards since Iron Man 1. There wasn't a lot of time in this movie to flush out the things I want to see. Like, I wanted to understand a little bit more where Cap was going, where he's been, what's going on with him. And for that, it's the reason why I brought it down a little bit. But overall, I think I'm not sure they could have done this movie any better than they did with the 2.5 hour time frame that they put it into. Considering the story that they wanted to tell and how they wanted to do it. Again, and that's keeping it in that 2.5 hour and not stretching it out to a 3 hour movie or breaking it into 2 separate movies. So I think they did the best they possibly could. And my hat goes off to the Russo brothers. I think they did a good job. And it's been a heck of a ride to get us to this point. We just saw part 1, and let's face it, Infinity War is a 2-part. Really, it should have been a 3-part movie, in my opinion.
Let's hang on there, Peter Jackson, Hobbit.
Well, I'm just saying, and maybe there's not enough stuff to make 3, but
Peter Jackson and the Hobbit.
but maybe it should just be 2. But I'm really excited to see what happens next. It makes me want to see Captain Marvel immediately. It makes me want to see what happens next. How is it going to flush out? Who's going to survive? Who's not?
We get to see Ant-Man next.
We get to see Ant-Man and Wasp, which
next,
is actually a prequel to Avengers.
No,
that's what I'm hearing. Unless you think they're going to go into the mini-verse or whatever they call it.
What we've gathered from the trailers, and this is through all the online discussions with everything, that part of it takes place in the events leading up to this. Part of it takes place during this, and then part of it takes place after.
Okay.
Because we hear in Infinity War that Ant-Man Scott took the plea bargain to go into house arrest because otherwise it'd been too much on his family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, part of the trailer, if you watch, is him with the ankle bracelet on.
Yeah.
And them all in his house.
Okay.
So that's part of the stuff leading up to. So
that said, I actually think that Ant-Man's going to be one of the ones that like kind of disappears towards the end, leaving the Wasp to come in
all by herself.
To come into the Avengers to help with stuff
in 4.
Yeah,
that's possible. Very, very, very possible. All right. Well, that brings the show to an end. But before we go, real quick, where can you find us on social media? That's right. The best place to go is www.4midwestguys.com. Again, that's the number 4midwestguys.com. One more time, the number 4midwestguys.com. There you can find your everything you're looking for. It's your one-stop shop. You got links to our Podbean, to our iTunes, to our Facebook, Twitter, as well as YouTube account. Also, every one of our video podcasts as well as our old audio podcasts are all listed there for you in chronological order, or you can go up to the top and see them categorized at the top. Again, that's number 4midwestguys.com is your best stop. If you are on Twitter, however, you can find us at 4midwestguys.com. If you are on Twitter, you can find Ankenbauer on Twitter as well as the Stardust app. Where can they find you, Brian?
At Ankzone.
You can find myself on the Stardust app as well as Twitter at bwilly1977. And we also have a Instagram account. And where can they find that?
At the _real_Ank.
Pause for dramatic effect.
Well, I felt like we needed to slow down.
Well,
you got to say it again there.
One more time.
I'm trying because this
Micro Machines.
We've gone way long. So I'm trying to roll through this as quick as I can.
Well, much like an epic, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't even hit the 2 hour mark yet.
Pretty close.
Oh. Are we going to do it?
We might.
Let's see.
All right. So, John, I want to thank you for joining us.
Of course.
And Brian, thanks for joining us.
As always, man, thanks for having me.
And this is B. Willie saying we will catch you next time.